Well, good Tuesday morning to you, everybody. It is Tuesday, May the 22nd, 2018, and this is take two with Jeannie, and I hope you're having a wonderful day so far. Well, I want to talk to you a little bit about what it means to be productive. Now, a story is told about these two workmen named Pat and Mike. I'll call them Pat and Mike. And they were outside workers, and they were working outside of this tall, big business building, this big building in a busy city, and they were out there and they were working, and there was a group of people that are in an office building upstairs, and they were looking down and they were watching them, and these two men, Pat and Mike, had shovels in their hands, and Pat would dig a hole, and Mike was right behind him, and he would fill it back up again, and he dug and he filled, and Pat dug and Mike filled, and this went on all day long, all the way around the building, all the way up the street, and it was quite a curious sight. And the people in the office building, they stopped doing their work just to watch this, because they were just utterly amazed at this. So they would watch them as Pat dug and Mike filled it, and Pat dug and Mike filled it. They were very curious. They even noticed at lunchtime they stopped and took a break, had their lunch, and then as soon as the lunch bell was rung, they started again. Finally, the curiosity just got the best of the people up in that office building. So finally, one of them, at the end of the day, came down the steps, came down the elevator, came out the front door, and saw them just filling the last hole. And the question was asked, why on earth are you doing this? Why are you? And they said, well, Pat and Mike said, well, we work for the city, we work here for the city, and we're doing our job. He said, well, why are you digging a hole and filling it up again? They said, well, there's normally 3 of us on this team. He said, yes, but Joe called in sick today. So again, still curiosity. What do you mean, Joe? What does Joe do? And it was very simple. He said, oh, Joe's the one who drops the plant in the tree and plants it after Pat digs the hole. And then after he drops in the tree, I fill it back up again. So did those men do a day's work? Oh, yes, they did. Did they do anything productive? Absolutely not. The only productive thing that maybe came out of that day for Pat and Mike was they got some exercise, but that was about it. So how many times are we like that, boys and girls? We do the same thing over and over again, and we're not one bit productive in our actions. And that's just too easy to happen, absolutely too easy to happen. You could just be working and working all day long with no rhyme or reason and no purpose. Now, was digging a hole, is that a productive thing to do in of itself? Yes. And is filling it back up with dirt a productive thing to do? Absolutely. But without dropping the tree in between and making it, there's no purpose. There was no tree to plant because Joe called in sick. So that job all day long served no purpose whatsoever. It was completely non-productive. So how often are we like that in our lives? We do the same things over and over again simply because we think we're supposed to, and we never stop to analyze, is there a better way I could be doing this? Is there a more productive way I could be doing this? And in a case like that, normally the 3 of them were a team, obviously, and when they did their job, they probably did it very well and were productive and probably planted trees all over town and did a great job of it. But if there's a component missing, that's when you take the time to modify your plans. Did that ever happen to you? You're going straight along. You've got everything planned. You have people in place. You have things in place. You have a factory with machines in place, and one thing breaks down. One person calls in sick. One person doesn't show up. For whatever reason, an ingredient is missing out of that recipe that you're doing. That's when you have to modify your plans. Be creative, modify, make changes if necessary. Did you ever hear that saying that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing exactly the same way over and over again and suddenly expecting different results? You can't do it. You have to modify plans. You have to make changes. You have to do things a little differently if you want to be sure that it's a day of being productive. Okay, so I pray in this day that you be a productive person, that everything you set your hand to brings excellent and productive results, okay? And if you have to make a few changes, if you have to replace people or things, or even an ingredient in your recipe because you ran out of something, go ahead and be creative. And you know what? I'm going to tell you something else. It might not be perfect. You might even fail, but you don't know until you try, until you press forward, make some changes, do what you have to do, and be productive, okay? Go be a blessing to somebody today. You might end up being the only one who is. And let me say this. When you're being a friend to that person, do it so that it's a productive thing. Don't be a fake and phony friend. Be a real friend. Because when you're a real friend to somebody and you bless them, that is always a productive thing to do. Thank you everybody for tuning in today. I see so many names there. I see Joanne and Robin and Adam and Marcia. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hey, if you want to catch past Take Twos, go to my YouTube channel, Jeanne Sigler, JeanneSigler. Please subscribe. And also, if you want to hear some great wonderful mix of smooth and easy music, go to WRMZ.org and click that listen button. And that will be a very productive thing to do. And I'll tell you what, you can listen to that wonderful music while you do something productive. Okay, you be blessed. Have a happy Tuesday, everybody. I love you. Thank you for supporting me in this. I really appreciate it. We'll see you tomorrow on Hump Day at the same time. I love you. Bye-bye.